Joining me today, I have Ryan Rempel of Give the Word Ministries, which operates out of Winnipeg, but also Steinbach. Is that right?
We now have a warehouse in Blumenort.
Blumenort.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, we're so excited to have Ryan joining us in studio, and he has a very good news story, so we're going to jump right in. So you had a phone call recently with the spiritual director at Cancer Care Alberta. I would love to know what happened.
Yeah, it was an email actually.
Okay.
We got an email from the spiritual director at a hospital in Alberta, and she was just expressing how they have a lot of patients who are just really looking for answers in dark times, and so they get a lot of activity at the spiritual care center there, whether it's patients, whether it's families, but they have just a lot of families just looking for hope and encouragement, and she realized that we don't really have any Bibles to give them. They're not really given a budget to go and buy resources. So she was just, Google searching, where can I get Bibles? And we came up. And so we had a great conversation with her, and we were able to tell her that we actually have a Bible that deals specifically with people going through cancer as well as families going through that as well. So she was super excited to find us, and that we were able to offer those to her for free because of our amazing, generous donors. We get to do that. And and that's not the only hospital that asks this of us. We partner with quite a few.
I was going to say, Kate, that is amazing, by the way. But does anything like that happen in Manitoba right now?
Yeah, so we are in regular contact with the chaplains at HSC as well as St. Boniface.
Nice.
I know we have been in the past. I think it was that hospital by Deer Lodge on Portage there.
Yep.
I can't remember what that one's called. We've sent them there,
Nice.
As well as to some other ones in Canada as well. Morden, Boundary Trails.
Nice.
And yeah, so it's a regular supply of Bibles going to these hospital chaplains.
Nice.
Yeah.
What I would love to know, I think the Bible you offer is called He Cares.
Yes.
Okay, tell me a little bit about how this kind of is geared towards people who are going through cancer.
It's got a lot of testimonies and stories of people who have faced cancer, some who have come through it, some who haven't. It just kind of goes along the lines of, questions of why me? Like, if God is so good, why am I dealing with this? Why does God heal sometimes and not others? How can I find comfort even if God doesn't heal me? So just going through a lot of commentary and stories and, anecdotes from the Bible that people have experienced and gleaned off of. We've gotten a lot of great feedback, and that Bible actually went out of print years ago, and we weren't able to access it anymore, but we still kept having people asking for this Bible. So we actually got in contact with the publisher and asked if we could bring it back and reprint it and just design our own cover for it. And so we did that, and now we have them again.
That is incredible. And clearly they're reaching people, and at this very hard time. And so many people go through cancer, right?
So many.
It touches almost all of us in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
So that's incredible.
Yeah.
Anyone listening who might want to help, how can they do this? Just helping the ministry.
Yeah, if you'd like to help out our ministry in way of prayer, you can just do that whenever you want. If you want to support us financially, we are always looking for donors to help keep our warehouse full and stocked with Bibles. And you can simply just go to givetheword.com and click donate, and it'll take you through the steps, and your support will be well used.
I love that. Now, I have a question. You might need a moment for it, but
Yeah.
Are there any testimonies maybe in the last year from people who have received a Bible from Give the Word, or maybe given one away, and it's just been encouraging? Kind of a story of hope?
Oh, man. Well,
I know. I put you on the spot.
we get a lot. But One recent story that we got back was a lady that had contacted us for, she was not quite a new believer yet, but very well on her way. She found us online and asked if she could have a Bible, and one that was easy to read because, she's totally new at this, right? And so, we sent her a Bible that had a lot of questions and answers and commentary for seekers and new believers. And she emailed us again, a number of months later and just talked about her faith journey and how she's, found the Lord, and she now wants to share the gospel with her family. Like, she's got parents who aren't saved, and asking if we could provide, a handful of more Bibles for her so that she could start reading the Bible together with other family members who are now interested in this. And so that's kind of how it works, is it just keeps mushrooming.
Totally. I was going to say a ripple effect, but yes.
Yeah, ripple effect.
Too.
That's what I was looking for.
That's fantastic. It's generational, and it's God's good word. And I love the word is alive, right? It's like living water. But when you're able to provide access to people who are like, I'm not quite sure where else to go, and you're like, here, I actually have something.
Yeah.
One last question before we end. Do you have Bibles in other languages other than English?
Because we primarily use the New Living Translation, we deal with English and Spanish because the NLT has been translated into Spanish.
Nice.
So primarily just English and Spanish. We work with a lot of missionaries in Canada that go to Mexico and South America, and that we provide Bibles for. Now, there are times that we can get some other languages through our supplier, not always. But for the most part, we try and direct people to other ministries that kind of specialize in that field, and that way we can do a little bit of a better job at working together and partnering, and we don't have to do everything, right?
Totally. Yes.
Yeah.
Actually, I hope you don't mind. One more question came to mind.
Yeah.
You were talking about a new believer or someone who is, maybe interested in reading the Bible for the first time themselves, even if they've heard the gospel.
Yeah.
I'm sure you get this question, or I hope, because I'd love an answer. If somebody asks you, I'm a new believer, where should I start reading the Bible? Do I start in Genesis, or what's your go-to, or do you have a go-to answer?
I don't know if I necessarily have a go-to answer. I always it's going to be a classic answer.
That's all right.
But going through John and going through Romans is really helpful because John essentially gives you the gospel, and Romans kind of tells you how to live that out. So that's kind of where I point people towards. But we do have a Bible called the Help Finder Bible that goes through about 400 different questions and life scenarios of whether you're a believer or not. These are just things that come up. These are things that happen. And what does God have to say about that? And then where can I go in the Bible that deals with that topic? So that's often the Bible that we send out for individual requests for new believers and seekers. And yeah.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah.
And I've heard Pastor Timothy Keller, he's no longer with us, but he said that Romans is the climax of the Bible. And it's always been my favorite book as well, but it just explains so much, right? And they were writing to the Romans, so they weren't the Jews who had grown up with, all of the initial gospels. And so
right.
I think that's a great answer.
Yeah.
And not so typical. Well, Ryan, you've been a blessing today. Thank you for sharing.
Oh, you're most welcome.